best a man can get.
Hi, everyone. It is Friday morning in New York City. This is First Things First. I'm Jenna Wolf. That is the Hall of Famer, Chris Carter. This is Nick Wright, looking dapper, feeling good, going into a big NFL weekend. Lots to talk about, including some basketball. James Harden going off against the Lakers last night. Lots of, as we discussed, NFL games to preview. Well, let's start with the big one. Big game.
We came in to win. And so to me, it was a no-brainer.
I was going to the sideline, going to overtime. And Coach Lynn said, let's go win it right now. Let's go for two. Let's go win it right now. And when he said that, there was so much conviction from him. It was, yeah, let's go win it right now. I mean, it was immediately turn around and let's go win it. I mean, and if we didn't win it, we didn't win it. But I think his conviction, it wasn't like, oh, should we? It wasn't. It was, no, let's go win the game.
There's not much you have to say. I mean, everybody feels that feeling. I mean, they want to get back out there tomorrow. So we're going to have a long 10 days. We're going to Seattle, which, I mean, it's a tough place to play. They're playing really good football right now. And so we're going to just recuperate, see what we did well and see what we didn't do so well, and find ways to use this as fuel as to go out there and win these next two games and then get into the playoffs.
All right, guys, let's start with the big highlight in this game, and that was the Chargers' decision to go for two. What did you think about that, Cece?
5 years ago in the NFL, no one was doing this. 3 years ago, maybe Bill Belichick would be going for it. Typically, they're not tying it up late in the game, but he's been one of the more aggressive coaches the last several years. But now in the NFL, no. All these coaches are going for it now, and I like the fact that they are being more aggressive, but this one was well thought out. You know, Anthony Lynn, yes, coach hadn't had a lot of experience. He told Ken Wisenhunt, get the two-point play ready as they started the drive. So it wasn't just a random decision. It wasn't just a reaction to his team scoring. He thought they were going to score, and they were going to try to win the game. The reason why it's an easy call is because it's a short week. They already came into the game banged up, and the rule is always on the road, go for the win. At home, go for the tie because you have the crowd. So I agree with the decision. And they called an excellent play, a play they called earlier in the game. They dialed it back up. Just put it in a different formation. They just called window dressing. All right, same woman, put her in a different dress. People are like, oh, that's exactly what happened to them. That's a play they were familiar with. It was successful in the first half. They brought it back to be able to win the game.
And so all of that's correct. And there were other factors as to why they should go for two. You had a Chiefs defense that it was giving up critical play after critical play. It was a game where it was a story of offenses. So if the score at that point in time is 13-14 and it's been a defensive battle, then you might say, well, the edge goes to the defense on stopping a two-point conversion. That wasn't the case there. And while they didn't mention this, because Anthony Lynn is a smart guy and the Chargers are a smart organization, here's something I'm certain they knew. A tie for the Chargers yesterday was as good as a loss, or as bad as a loss, I should say. And for the Chiefs, a tie would have been as good as a win. So if they kick the extra point and go to overtime, it's an odd overtime because the Chiefs don't have to play for the win. They can grind clock. Because a tie there, as far as the standings, because teams are chasing them, would have been the exact same as a win for them. So for all those reasons, I thought it was the right call. And it wasn't reactionary by them and not reactionary here on television. I tweeted during the game, if the Chargers score, I think they're going to go for two. Like it felt that way, and it felt like a moment for the Chargers to end the game right there without having to worry about a coin flip where if Pat Mahomes gets the ball, as happened against Baltimore, he drives down the field and scores points for his team.
I don't recall ever seeing a press conference or any soundbite from Phillip Rivers where he was so adrenalized, so fired up, so excited. I wonder what a decision like that by the Chargers could do for a team now moving forward. To go for it, to show that we're going to be aggressive, to show that if we're going to win this season, we're going for it. I mean, how does that turn a team around and propel them into the next couple games?
I'm sure it energizes a guy, especially when you haven't had success there. No one understands what a tough place Kansas City's to play better than Phillip Rivers. He realized the organization believes in him, but him and that head coach, how much success have they had together? None. So to be able to be in these critical moments, those are things that propel you to a unbelievable season. Like if you think the Chargers can't be in the AFC Championship game or be in the Super Bowl, you must didn't watch the game last night. This is a talented roster, and they're going to get another player back in Melvin Gordon closer to the end of the season. This is his third game out. He has an MCL sprain. Typically, it takes 3 to 4 weeks. Imagine that running attack, because they ran the ball effectively on Kansas City, and the running backs they used last night aren't nearly as good as Melvin Gordon. So I'm very, very impressed of who the Chargers are. Good friend of mine, Trent Dilford, he's the only person I heard say this. 2 good teams in Los Angeles. He believed that the Chargers were more talented than the Rams. He said that before the season, and as you could see on paper, man, the Chargers, you must respect the type of talent. And now people are starting to hear about their head coach, and you could see Sound has earned his reputation on the defensive side. He's got Ken Wisenhunt calling the plays on the offensive side, which I wouldn't be surprised if Ken Wisenhunt gets another head coaching job as a former head coach. So they got a lot of good things working for the Chargers there.
And you mentioned you haven't seen Phillip Rivers this fired up. This is the biggest game Phillip Rivers has won this decade. Like, when Phillip Rivers came into the league, the Chargers got in the midst of winning the division 5 of 6 years. They haven't won the division this decade. They haven't gone on a real playoff run this decade. This is the best Chargers team he's been on since Norv Turner and LaDainian Tomlinson were there. So he should be fired up. And it wasn't just the 4th and 2. They had, the 2-point conversion, pardon me. They had a 4th and goal down 14 that they draw a legitimate holding penalty on. I know there were some questions about some calls on both sides, but that was a legitimate holding penalty. They score the next play, and then the play in the highlight.
4th and 8.
4th and 8. With the game on the line. They don't convert there. The game is over. He converts to Travis Benjamin for 26 yards. So he made some critical big plays late in this game. After the one part of the Chiefs defense did well was that pass rush. Chris Jones was hitting him all day long. He withstood that and made the critical plays late.
And we'll talk much more about the Chiefs, but I just want to touch on it at least a little bit. What didn't you see from Kansas City last night? You and I talked earlier. You wanted to see a few more big plays down the stretch out of Patrick Mahomes.
Well, we knew they were going to try to take away their big plays. The coaching staff listening after the game, that was Tyreek Hill. We're going to limit the big plays. But what I would like to see is maybe not necessarily trying for as many big plays and be more methodical. When people compare you to Brett Favre, they compare you for a number of reasons. For one, they think you have a big-time arm. That would probably be the number one reason. Another one would be that maybe you take some chances with the football. Another reason would be when an easy play can be made, do I pass up that easy play for a more difficult play? And that's what I saw from Patty Mahomes last night. And as we go forward, this is something I'm very, very familiar with, because I used to have an unbelievable ability to catch the ball with one hand. I used to be able to do it. And some days in practice, I used to say, you know what I'm going to do today? I'm just going to show off. I'm just going to do all different types of things. And the coaches, they would know that, because I've been like, that's very different. But when you go to the game, people say, well, Chris, how do you determine you're going to catch it with one? It's only forced. And Patty Mahomes, sometimes the spectacular play is not needed. All right, and they're going to give you the basic play, the play that Drew Brees makes all the time, the check down, the shallow cross. I saw last night him pass up receivers to try to throw the ball deeper down, where when they had that lead, it was about moving the chains and getting first down. So for me, I don't want a Brett Favre the whole game, all right? I need someone who can be methodical, and also you never go broke taking a profit. Throw the ball short and allow your talented athletes to be able to advance the football.
And that's going to be the hardest thing for him to learn in his career, because how did the game start? The game started with two plays that I thought were going to make Troy Aikman pass out. The 3rd and 4, where he ran around, avoided the sack, got the first down, and then the touchdown pass, where it looked like, wait, throw it away. Why are you throwing it? Oh, it's a touchdown. And so when you have that level of ability, I imagine it's difficult to try to do that repeatedly. But one of the reasons that they were not able to methodically get first downs is Chargers did a great job of ball control. They were winding that play clock down to 2 or 3 seconds, throughout the game. So in the first half, the Chiefs only had 3 drives. They scored touchdowns on 2 of them. In the second half, they only had 3 drives until they were in that, and they scored touchdowns on 2 of them until they were in that spot, and it was the biggest spot of the game. After the Chargers cut it 28-21, you need 1 first down to likely win it, 2 first downs to ice it, and Pat Mahomes takes a sack on 3rd down. They never get a positive play that entire drive, and that ended up setting the Chargers up to be in position to do what they did.
All right, we'll have Chris Canty out here. We'll talk much more about this game coming up. On the other side, let's talk some basketball. Great game last night. Can the Rockets right the ship after James Harden's monster night? Rockets, Lakers next. First things first.